Everybody in this industry, especially when they first start, they say they're passionate about real estate. They love looking at homes. They grew up looking at TV shows. And every time when I hear this, it's also the same agents that go 4, 6 months without closing a deal. Passion is cool, but it's not really what's going to get you moving forward in the business. Obsession is. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between the two. And like always, we have Sharif today on the podcast. Good morning, Sharif. How you doing?
Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. Good morning. So let's dive right into it, Sharif. So before we even talk about the differences, I kind of want to see how your day goes on day-to-day basis. I mean, I know for a fact that me and you are obsessed about this business, right? So what does obsession really looks like and what does passion look like to you?
I think passion is more emotional, right? Like you said before, it's the excitement you feel when you're really interested in something or you feel like things are going well. But obsession is true. That's what we have, right? And it's really a commitment to something, right? Something you're passionate about that you're committed about as well. And it's what keeps you showing up when things get boring, difficult, and frustrating. And trust me, I can vouch for that for sure. But passion sparks the interest, but obsession that sustains the effort, right? And the key takeaway here is that passion starts the fire, but obsession keeps it burning, right? So that's really what the whole differences are between being passionate and being obsessive about something.
Totally agree. And I think just to add to that, I think passion is just, and you said it, it's very emotional, right? So when somebody's emotional about something, they will only react to it when it gives them good feedback. I believe, at least that's what I believe, right? So they will only love real estate in this example if real estate loves them back. If a closing happens that actually ends up being a smooth closing, but if a client is frustrating or is a difficult client, and there's a lot of back and forth. At that point, they typically say, "Oh, I hate this business." But that's not going to get you going very far. With people that are obsessed, they obsess about every little detail. They obsess about how can we make this better next time? How can we make sure that this process is a lot smoother for everybody else on the team? And it's almost something that you think about 24/7. When you're obsessed about something, that's really something that goes in your mind. You're thinking about it all the time, not just when you feel like thinking about it and when you're feeling good. I think that's the biggest difference here too. And that's how most people win, right? Like if we're talking about professional athletes, like right, they don't only go train or love the game when they win the game, right? They are obsessed about training. They wake up earlier than anybody and they keep dribbling no matter how good they are and how many awards they won. They're still practicing. They want to improve, even if it's just a very tiny percentage. But they're obsessed about winning. They're obsessed about getting better every single day. And in this business, you have to do the same, right?
Yeah,
So
and it's
go ahead.
definitely something that you have to differentiate the two, right? Passion is temporary, right? Obsession, now that's consistent. That's something that you'll do day in and day out. And many people feel that, when you're passionate about something, that you are actually consistent with it, but that's not the case, right? People are usually passionate about new projects, new business ideas, new opportunities, but you're exactly what you just said. When the challenges show up, that passion fades, right? You got to be obsessed about it in order to keep it going, right? Because obsession, it doesn't really rely on the excitement, right? It definitely relies on discipline and consistency, right? Like every day, day in and day out, you're doing the same exact task. You're obsessed about it. And really, consistency beats excitement every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe, just like you said, it starts it. So thinking about what you just said, passion just starts the career or starts the idea, but obsession keeps you in it. But I think also just to say this in a different way, passion is the reason that you get into it. Obsession is the reason that you stay and win, right? Without
Mm,
obsession, you're not going to be able to stay in the field for a very long time. And you're going to go through this highs and lows a lot with real estate where like sometimes you're like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. or if I have a great week and the next week, I'm not going to make calls because I had one difficult client, right? So you have to be obsessed. You got to be obsessed about data. You have to be obsessed about every little detail and how it can improve next time around, right?
It's so true. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Passion, it loves outcomes. Obsession loves the process, right? So passion focuses on results, right? Success, recognition, achievement, where obsession is totally different. It focuses on improvement, practice, repetition, and really learning. So those are key differences between the two. It's not like you can't have one without the other, but they work together. But passion gets you started, obsession keeps you going, right? So people that really, become great at something, they fall in love with it, right? But they don't just fall in love with it itself. They fall in love with the process and getting better at it. All right. So that's the obsession part of it. So obsessed people enjoy the grind, right? That's exactly what pushes them forward. And no lie, that's our guilty fact right there. Is we're obsessed and we enjoy the grind of it, and we're just trying to figure out how to make it better day in, day out, even during the night when we're sleeping, for God's sakes. It's always a consistent thought about how to make this better, right? Where passion got us into it, where we loved it when we started, but the obsession is what keeps us going.
100%. Let's give some examples, right? I mean, you gave a few great examples, but you know, to me, like obsession too, somebody that is studying, for example, comps the night before, right? They know they have a big listing appointment the next day. They don't wait an hour before the listing appointment to start prepping their comps or prepping their stuff ready. Obsession is somebody that is going to make sure that they have everything ready prior to that listing appointment, way ahead of time. Also, obsession is something that maybe somebody that will replay a call that they had with a client that maybe they lost the listing. They didn't say the right things, or maybe a client ghosted them, that they want to see how they can improve that next time versus passionate. Somebody would say, oh, that client is just not ready, or they're not a good lead. I'm going to wait and find somebody that will match my energy, type of deal, right? But that's not what obsession is. Obsession is, how can I make sure that, what can I learn from this and how can I improve on it right away? What other examples, I guess, Sharif, that you can relate to this?
I mean, really, it's anything that's like comfortable is usually passion, right? So that's anything that you're comfortable with when you're in a comfortable state. That's passion. But really, I mean, things that you're uncomfortable with is what obsession is about, right? So just different processes that you have, or even just like you said, like a listing appointment, just the process of what you're doing within a listing appointment. Like I obsess on that, right? Like I try to improve myself every single appointment, knowing that there's room for improvement. I mean, taking notes, figuring out what I did differently, how I actually achieved signing a listing versus someone walking away and saying they would rather use someone else. Like that really obsesses to me to the point where I'm actually asking them, in order to help our next clients, can you please give me some pointers about what you thought differently about the other agent than you did about myself, right? That's obsession. Right. So, like, I just want to know what I can do to get better at it. So, right there's an example for you, but it's about being uncomfortable, right? We talk about it all the time. If you want to grow, you got to be uncomfortable. And really, when you get, passionate, that's great. But it's totally about being obsessed with it, is where you start getting uncomfortable with things because you just want to tweak and make it better. And it's really from the inside. Like it simply feels necessary, right? Like you feel it internally, that you're obsessing about it because you want to make it better. But from the outside, it does look a little extreme.
Yeah, it is very extreme. I mean, it's something that, it's obviously got its side effects, right? Because you're always thinking about it. You're thinking about it at dinner. You're thinking about it in the shower. You're thinking about it when you're at events, right? It's taken almost 100% out of all your thinking all the time. It's good, but it's also obviously got, some people may say that there's a downside to it, where now you're sacrificing some things, where, so you're not doing things that you maybe really enjoy, or going out to grab drinks with your friends or go watch a movie and all these things, right? And I think that is the hard part of that, where, at least for me, and I can say this, like, it's almost very difficult for me to step away versus stay in it. Like most people with that are passionate, they find it's the other way around for them. It's difficult for them to keep talking and thinking about real estate. They say, "Oh, it's my day off. I'm not going to look at my phone all the time," which again, there's time for that. Obsessed people are always thinking about it, to the point where I know you do this, Sharif, where like if your agents don't clear out their inboxes, right? You get super obsessed about that, and they're frustrated if they don't reply back in a timely manner to a client. You're obsessed about that, and you will talk to them about it, right? These are a lot of other examples about obsession.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but it's like, you got to understand the concept of it, right? What people, call obsession, high performers actually call that commitment.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference, right? That's why it looks a little bit different when you're looking from the external in and from the internal out, right? So people will think that you look obsessed, like you're thinking about it all the time, you're not giving yourself a break, you're just like a consistent thing that you're doing, right? But really, what is that really much different than being committed? And a high performer would say that, right? Like they're just committed, they're not really obsessed about it, right? And that's the big difference is passion. There's like lack of commitment there, but it's great because many people start something because they feel passionate, right? But very few will continue long enough to even master it. And that's the difference. Passion starts your journey where obsession finishes it. So it's a big difference because between getting average results and extraordinary results, also, it really comes down to obsession on improvement, right? So that's how you get better. You obsess about improving, and passion may inspire you in the beginning, but obsession drives mastery, right? We just want to get better at it. We want to make it as perfect as possible and really just analyzing everything that you've done and trying to make it even just a little bit better.
100%. And as far as like, if somebody's struggling, I guess, with this, and let's say they are obsessed, but how do they make sure that they still are able to put time away for their family? I mean, is there something where I mean, I know you do it at a high level, Sharif, like you're still able to obsess, and you're very obsessed about the business, but you're also dedicating time away for your family, for things that are really important to you in your life. So how do you do that?
I time block. I mean, I'm going to be honest. There's only two things I really time block on my calendar, and everything else falls into place. I time block my call time in the morning, and I time block my family time, which is normally between like 5 and like 8, right? So that's really what you gotta do is you gotta be fair to yourself and control your schedule and understand that, it's great to be obsessed about work, but you still have to block certain things like your family time, right? And I'm obsessed about that. Like, how can I get better on blocking my family time, right? Because that's what's most important. That's my why, right? So I wanna protect my why as well so that it stays in tune, right? The vision is actually there and it's really clear, right? So in order to do that, not only do you have to, prospect on a daily basis, right, to keep your business going, but you got to block time to stay with your family and understand that that time is the reason why you're working so hard, right? You're working so hard for those few hours in that day just to spend time with your family.
And that's the thing, the part that a lot of people get confused too is not being obsessed just in similar manner with the time that they promise other people that they give them. And it's not just that, it's also making sure that they're very efficient in the time that they block during that time, even if it's in the business or if it's their family time as well. So it goes back to obsession, right? Where it's like, this is how I created my schedule. This is what I want my vision to be, just like you said, and not having nonsense get in between, and really learning to say no to things that are going to distract you from that time block. Because I know a lot of people that put time blocks in their calendar, where but then they don't really take full focus. They're not fully focused on that time block. A lot of people are time blocking prospecting, but they're not prospecting. And then they want to time block their family time and time off. But I feel like they don't even deserve that time off because they never really like focused on the time that they were supposed to work. So at that point, like you're not really obsessed about it. You're doing it based on how you feel, and if you have nothing else, if you finish your laundry, then you go do your calls. If you finish getting your errands done, then you go make your calls done. But no, you got to be obsessed about that stuff first, and then make sure that you do that stuff also at the same time. Not it's not when this if this happens, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. I mean, like I just mentioned earlier, I mean, passion's really about outcomes, right? And really obsession's about the process itself. So it's improving that process so you can get those outcomes, but not really being so focused on the outcomes, but being more focused about how'd you get there, right? And what can I do better to have better results in the end, right? So it's good to have passion because it can inspire you and it can get you to start something, right? But obsession is what carries you through. It carries you through the long seasons, the short seasons, the ups and the downs, where motivation fades and progress tends to slow, right? But if you're obsessed about it, you'll still keep driving forward. So that's the difference. It's like, are you more worried about the outcome or are you more worried about the process to get there? And that's the key. The key analogy that you have to think about is what are you focused on? Do you really want the results or do you just want to tweak the process and make it better and better every day? And that's
Yeah, yeah, and to add to that too, it's obsession is doing things that are required from you when nobody's watching, right? Passion, I feel like you're just doing it to just prove a point or in front of people to show, oh, look, I did this, right? Or you want to tell everybody around you or tell the whole world. But it's obsession is a lot of times it's quiet and it's not like, it's the work that nobody really sees
Mm,
on weekends sometimes, on evenings and things like that. And that's the biggest differentiator too, I think.
yeah, it's like the silent worker, right? It's the one behind the scenes that gets you to those passionate results. It's the obsessive, worker in the background that actually is tweaking the process and making it better.
No, 100%. And that's the thing here that I want to challenge you guys on. Which one are you? And you got to really reflect on this on yourself too. When the market slows down, do you slow down as well? And if you do, then you're passionate. If you get rejected, do you need the day to recover, or do you dial again like nothing ever happened? That's passionate, right? Are you studying the industry, or are you just participating in it? Or are you building something or just showing up just for the heck of saying, I just showed up today? So that's the biggest difference. If you do like this podcast, guys, and if you do have questions about anything, feel free to reach out to us. You know where to find us on YouTube. We'll put the links below. Feel free to let us know what kind of podcasts and what topics you want us to go over so we can create more like it. Thank you, guys.
Hi, guys.